What is going on, my real estate family? As you can tell, this is handheld. This is all impromptu. I was like, you know what, let me actually just deliver something different for you guys. I know many of you guys have been maybe watching my content, my webinars, seeing exactly what I do. Maybe you've seen what we offer, and you're like, hey, I don't know if this guy's coaching and his AI robot is worth it. Is it really worth the price? Am I going to be getting more than just the service side of things? So what I just decided to do is that I actually wanted to give you guys a full-on overview, right? Where you could literally just take a look and see a preview of a coaching call that I did literally last week, Monday, from the time of this recording, on essentially helping my clients close more deals, especially when it comes to CMA reports and dealing with buyers. If you guys are going to find a lot of value in this, share this with another agent, subscribe, as well as I'm going to attach my calendar link in the description so that if you're keen and you want to find out more information of how we can help you too, click on the link. Enjoy.
Okay, all good, Mr. Vaughn. Hope you're prepping well for the PDE4 exam. I don't know if there's anyone else who's also prepping for the PDE4 exam. Claudia, you mentioned that you were studying, right? Is that for the exam? Please forgive me if maybe I'm.
Yeah, it was. It was for the PDE in November, but I'm done now. I passed. I'm
Hey,
confident. Think of
congrats.
this. So good luck to all.
Good luck,
Well
Mr.
done,
Vaughn.
Claudia.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome, man. That's good to hear. That's good to hear, guys. All right, let me just quickly share my screen. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, awesome. So this is basically the doc, and I'm going to share it with you guys as soon as we're done with the call. But what I've done is that there's two sections. So there's a seller objections framework, and then there is the buyer objections framework. So what I've done is I have essentially provided the different objections that you would get, the common seller objections, and then there's the core main objection, which you'll typically get, and this is what I've noticed. So what I've done is that for the core main objection, I've did a full deep dive in terms of why that is the case, and then I have a framework for just the common objections from the seller side that you can cover for using the same framework. But it's not as a deep dive because I've seen this is the most common one that a lot of you guys are getting. And then same thing with the buyer. The common one that I've noticed is the hesitation to submit documentation. So everyone's, yeah, they're cool, they're happy. Hey, let's move forward. And then time for documentation, crickets. And it's like, okay, there's something I said, or are they serious? Like, so I'm gonna walk you guys through how to really understand what are the common reasons for that hesitation and what's really the best way to handle and tackle it. And then, of course, again, I do have the common objections as well from the buyer side. So I'll just, for today's call, because it is quite detailed, I'll just focus on the two main core objections. And then you guys can go and take a look at the other ones as well after the call. My goal here really is just to help you guys understand it and then start utilizing it as soon as possible. Another thing as well is I didn't want to make it okay, say this word for word. No, I want you guys to, because I feel like once you guys understand what could be the core objection, then now you know exactly how to tackle the conversation. So you can use maybe some of the scripts that I have as a guideline in terms of, okay, so this could be one of the reasons. So in my own words, as Claudia or as Vaughn, as Octavia, right, as Elise, I'm going to phrase it in this way, right, so that it sounds natural, so that it sounds like it's actually coming from a genuine place. Because now once you have a script, it sounds like you're robotic and it doesn't sound like, the energy just isn't there, right? And people can pick up on these things, right? So I want to make sure that everything is in great detail for everyone so that we can all crush it. How's it going, Octavia? I hope you're good. So cool. Let's start off with the seller one. So again, one thing I want to really highlight, guys, objections are not a bad thing. In fact, it's a really good thing. Okay, so why I'm saying that is because it's just simply expression of uncertainty, discomfort, or lack of urgency. It's either one of those three. I can tell you that right now. If you're getting an objection, it's not because you did terrible or no. Always try and not, because I would also look at it as like, is it something that I did wrong? So I'd always place the blame on myself up until I realized that no, it's just either uncertainty, discomfort, or lack of urgency. So your role as an agent is really just to understand, and this is the key here, the root, guys, the root of these objections, so that we can address them through thoughtful questions. Guys, this is very key in sales. asking the right questions. I see many agents are always very combative, or they'd be, how do I say it, assertive. So maybe a buyer will give an objection, and then all of a sudden the real estate agent is how do I say it, not necessarily defensive, but they're very pushy. And that doesn't work, because now you're just creating higher and higher walls, right? More tension. So when you understand that and you utilize thoughtful questions and you provide reassurance, that's really what it is, to help your clients feel confident and comfortable moving forward. That's just the way that it goes. I will admit this, guys, just to really help you guys understand. I think maybe for me, the reason why I understand it is because, I'm a retired player. Back in my high school days, I used to be very busy when I was in high school. Nice. So I would really understand how to handle different objections. So back in high school, when a girl would be like, "No, Andile, I've got a boyfriend," most guys would be like, "Oh, okay." But no, I knew that was an objection. So I knew there could be a uncertainty, or maybe, she's trying to see, and if she maybe she's just trying to see, am I going to take it, or am I going to how am I going to handle that objection? And most often time, like, okay, well, where is he? He ain't around, isn't he? So let me get your number. I mean, come on, we're just gonna talk. What what's the worst that could happen here? Boom. And I get the number. And turns out she didn't actually have a boyfriend. Now, it's not to say everyone went and gave me that objection, but because I could understand those small nuances, that's how I really started understanding how people work and operate. Most people, guys, aren't going to tell you their core pain point or their core fear because they're afraid you're going to take advantage of it. Why? Because how many of us have been taken advantage of by a slimy salesman, right? Where you actually needed help, and you felt like you were used by that salesman, right? Maybe because you were honest and they took advantage of your vulnerability, right? So most sellers and buyers don't want to be vulnerable because they were vulnerable in the past and somebody who was unethical took advantage. And that's why most people give you objections. So also look at how you also provide objections. Always think about, okay, when I provide an objection, it's because I'm either unsure or it is uncomfortable. All right. Or maybe I just don't see the need to move forward now. So always think about that. Anyways, so let's jump into the scenario of someone who says, let's say, for example, oh, no, I just want a CMA report. Okay. So again, most people would typically look at it as, okay, this person is not ready yet. No, 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 no. So this is the reason why I wanted to break it down. So there's 5 potential reasons. So we can't just automatically assume that this person isn't ready. There's been so many instances with a lot of my clients, once I explained this to them and they tackled it from a different perspective, they ended up getting a mandate, even though that person said they wanted a CMA report. So what we're just trying to see is understand, okay, is it uncertainty, is it discomfort, or is it lack of urgency? So why sellers would typically say that is, okay, there are going to be some people who are genuinely curious, right? Where they genuinely want to know their property's value, but may not be ready to act on it. There will be those people, but not everyone is like that. That's the key here, okay? Then the skepticism. There's going to be sellers where they're unsure if engaging with you is worth their time or if they're ready to commit to selling, okay? So that skepticism is either they're not sure of you yet, if this is going to be worth their time, or if they're ready to commit. Okay, if somebody says, oh, I just want to see a CMA report, it could be deflection. It's an easy way to avoid deeper conversations about their intentions. Why? Because they're afraid if they are vulnerable, you're going to take advantage because they've been taken advantage of in the past. Okay. Or exploration. The reason why they're saying it is because they're testing the market or starting to think about selling, but don't want to admit it yet. Can you guys see how most oftentimes they're just not going to give you their intention because they know if they give you their intention, you're going to take advantage, right? It's sort of like they're going to give you their cards and they don't want to do that. All right. And then fear of commitment. They fear being pressured into something they're not ready for. All right. So can you see how mainly most oftentimes, yes, there will be people who are curious, but 9 times out of 10, it's because they don't want to be vulnerable and they don't want to be taken advantage of. The same way we also protect ourselves when we're engaging with a salesperson. Because let's say, for example, if you really want this product, because let me give you an example. So let's say, for example, I want to buy a particular car because let me just make an example. Let's say, for example, I want to buy a particular car because I want my wife to feel proud of my accomplishments, as an example. That's the reason why I want to buy a car. But when I go to a dealership, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm looking for a car for my family. All right. Notice how I didn't say, oh, I want to buy a car because I want my wife to feel proud of my accomplishment that I've worked hard for us. Okay. Maybe because for the first 3 years of our marriage, she was taking care of me. And now I want to buy this car for her to show her my appreciation. All right. I'm not just going to go to the salesperson and tell that salesperson that information. No, that's personal. Why should you know that information? All right. So when I go to the dealership, I'm like, no, I just want to buy a car for the family and stuff like that. Now it's the salesperson's job to ask me the right questions to get into a deeper meaning. Okay. Now let's say, for example, the salesperson's like, no, you want to get your wife this car, so that let's say, for example, the salesperson's angle is, okay, get this family car because for example, it's safe, it's economical and stuff like that. But let's say for me, I just want a really nice car where I'm going to give it to my wife so that my wife can go and show her friends who are telling my wife to leave me because I was not able to provide. Can you see how what are my deeper intentions? But now the salesperson's talking about, oh, the car is safe, it's great for family and stuff like that. And then at the end, he's not showing me the cars that I want to see because we're not on the same page. So now the salesperson is pushing for me to, let's say, salesperson's pushing for me to buy a Jeep when I actually want a Mercedes Benz for status. All right. So now he's pushing for this Jeep, and I'm like, I'm not sure. Now the salesperson is thinking I'm not serious, or maybe I want to think about it. I genuinely want to think about it. But no, I actually wanted the Mercedes, but you now directed me to the Jeep. And now the salesperson has now lost the deal purely because he didn't ask me the right questions. He didn't ask me and see exactly what I'm looking for. He didn't ask me, okay, but why are you looking for a Benz instead of a Jeep? You see, now I can say, well, you know what? I actually want to buy a Benz because, it would actually suit my wife. My wife is someone who likes nice things. Oh, she likes nice things. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. You see, then you ask the right question. So the point I'm just trying to make here, guys, is that when somebody says they want a CMA report, don't always assume. We need to ask the right questions. And then this is how we can unpack. So how to handle, I just want to see a mirror report is to gently, this is the key here, gently unpack the reason behind the request without pushing. It's very key here. So you want to use neutral questions or curious questions to shift the focus from surface level request to their deeper motivations. That is the key here, understanding their deeper motivations, because there's a reason why. Okay. So normally what I would like to suggest here, accept and normalize the request. So start by showing that you understand the request and it's perfectly fine. This lowers their defenses. That's what we want to do first, lower their defenses, because they're expecting you to come straight, but you want to lower defense. So someone's like, oh no, Claudia, I just want to see a mail report. Oh, John, that's no problem at all. In fact, a lot of the people that I work with start off by wanting to know their home's value. So, John, just out of curiosity, what made you want to check it now? You see, the quality of the question. That's no problem. Hey, John, that's no problem. What would most agents do? Oh, okay, I'll send the CMA report. And then you've potentially lost the deal because now you don't know their deeper motivations. And if you don't know their deeper motivations, it's very difficult for you to actually see how can I secure this deal. So when you say that's not a problem at all, they'll in their head, they're like, oh, okay, I thought you were gonna come aggressive, but you were just like chilled. And I like this. A lot of people I work with, oh, hey, a lot of my clients that I work with start off by just wanting to know their home's value. So what am I doing? I'm adding in that resonance that, hey, a lot of the people that I work with start off, right? Or start by just wanting to know their home's value. So what am I doing internally? I'm inflicting that idea that you are also going to be my client because everyone started off this way. So it's making him feel comfortable. So in a way, you're psychologically influencing him to view him as going to be your future client because the same process happened with your other clients. I hope you guys are getting what I'm saying here and how powerful, guys, this is very powerful information. All right. Now, this is the key. Out of curiosity, John, what made you want to check it? And this is the key word, now. Why? Because we want to figure out why do you want to check it out now? I mean, there's a reason why he's reaching out to you. So what made you want to check it now? That is the key here. Because now he can tell you, oh, I wanted to check it out now because, my wife just got an opportunity in the UK We haven't decided if we're going to take it or not. We're still looking to see what the packages are looking like. But the plan is moving to the UK, right? Oh, you see, it went from I just want the CMA report to now him actually saying why they want to check it now. Can you see how powerful that question is? Can you see how powerful that question is? Whereas if you just be like, oh, okay, I'll send it over, you've lost it, right? But when you ask them that question, then they get to open up. So I always like to say that, guys, sales is all about asking the right quality questions. If you can ask the quality questions using the right tonality, you've got them. I can tell you now, hands down. So asking the right questions is the great way to go about it. So let's go to step 2, explore the why behind the CMA request. So you want to ask thoughtful, open-ended questions to understand the underlying motivations. Again, guys, we need to understand what motivated them. You want them to reveal whether they're just curious, exploring options, or considering selling in the near future. Remember, guys, it's either out of curiosity, skepticism, deflection, exploration, or fear of commitment. It could be either one of these 5. So we don't want to assume that, no, they're just curious. No, we want to actually get a deep dive. What is it? What could it be? All right. So we want to actually do that. How do we do that? Is, okay, I've given you guys some examples that you can put into your own words. So, for example, all right, so John, when you say you just want to see a CMA report, help me here. Is there something specific you're trying to figure out? Right? Notice how I'm saying it. Can you hear in my tonality? I'm not like, John, when you say you want to see a mirror report, is there something specific you're trying to figure out? Right? It doesn't showcase that I'm curious. It doesn't show that I actually want to know. I'm genuinely interested in the conversation. Guys, pay very close attention to the way that you speak to your clients, especially leads, versus when you actually have conversations with your spouse or your friends or your family. Notice your tonality, guys. This is very important. How you speak to your leads, your clients, versus how you speak to your friends and your family. When you're asking questions about your friends or your family, let's say something happened in their life, your tonality is completely different from what I've noticed when you're engaging with leads. Guys, you want to use the same tonality you would speak to friends and family with your leads, because then that shows that you are genuinely interested in the conversation and you're not there for an ulterior motive. You're not there for the fact that you're just there to collect cash, right? Because that's how most sellers and buyers think of agents. Oh, you just want to talk to me so that you can make money, right? This is transactional. No, we want to be genuinely interested, okay? Or, John, just help me out here for a second. What's made you curious about your home's value right now? Okay, so that's just the same example from before. Or, John, have you been thinking about selling, or are you more interested in just understanding the market? Can you see? Different angles. I'm trying to give you guys different questions so that you can really get an understanding of where your lead is coming from. Or, hey, John, is there something that's changed recently that made you want to look into this? Okay, so can you see how these are super, super open-ended questions? Why? Because it's going back again, right? We want them to give us the underlying motivation. There's a reason why they had reached out. So let's not just assume that they're curious. There will be those, I'm not going to deny that, but I can tell you there's going to be a big portion of people who fall under 2, 3, 4, or 5. So we don't want to just automatically assume that's the case. And that's why we use these questions. So step number 3, now you want to uncover potential pain points or triggers. So if they're hesitant to open up, and that's going to be the case, right? You want to help them reflect on any challenges or changes in their situation. So this will guide the conversation towards uncovering their deeper needs. Okay. So John, have you had thoughts about selling before, or is this the first time you're exploring this? Okay. Remember, we don't know. So I just always want you guys to always look at it from this perspective. Don't assume. Don't assume you know, because the minute you assume you know is when you lose the sale, right? Is when you lose a deal. Always, always, always have a curious mindset. Even if they tell you one thing and you're like, I know it's this. No, always ask the right question. So, have you thought about selling your house before, or is this the first time you're exploring this? Because let's say, for example, they're like, yeah, this is the first time exploring this. We're looking at the market. Our neighbor just sold their house, and we're like, okay, we're curious to know if whether that's something that we want. Huh? Why though? Or why now though? Can you see? Can you see how I've just flipped it? Why now, though? So I want you guys to start using that question. Why now, though? Okay, so that they can tell you their core underlying motivation. Or, okay, John, I just want to be on the same page here. Are you looking to understand your home's value because you're thinking about a next step, like downsizing or relocating? I'm not sure. Or am I missing anything? Notice how you see what I'm saying is I'm not assuming, but I'm just trying to understand where they're at. And so I can get them to open up a little bit more. Or, hey, I'm happy to send over that CMA report, but is there something you'd like to do with the information once you know your home's value? Just so that maybe I can give you additional information to help and assist you in your journey. Okay. Oh, yeah. So the other information we want to find out is, if we had to sell or, in the market right now, how soon are the homes selling? Or, if we wanted to sell at like 1 million above market price, how would that look like? You see, now they're essentially giving you their clues. They're giving you clues. They're giving you clues in terms of, here, Claudia, here is the clue to sell me. Here, Octavia, here's the clue to sell me. Here, Vaughn, here's the clue to sell me, right? When they're telling you, oh, yeah, so I actually wanted to find out, is this or how do I, or whatever they say from there, those are clues. Amazing, amazing, and powerful clues that can help you drive straight. Guys, sales is a game. I love it. I love it so much. And most people suck at it because if somebody gives you hesitation, like, I don't know. And then most people just take it for that. No, I'm the kind of person where I'm like, I want to know why. And then once you get them to open up, you'll be so surprised because once you can get, guys, let me tell you something. If you can get your leads to open up, right? Whereas other agents fail to, that is a long-lasting relationship. Think about every single person that you engage with in your life where they were able to get you to open up. You're not just going to randomly open up to anyone, right? You're only going to open up to someone that you value and someone that you trust. And there's something about being vulnerable when you're with someone, right? When you open up to someone and when you're vulnerable to someone, it could be a problem, it could be something. But the minute you open up and you're vulnerable and you express it and you speak about it, how do you feel afterwards? You feel good. Okay, because you trusted that person and you said whatever you need to say. But now guess what happens? You feel closer to that person because you opened up, you spoke to that person, right? So now there's something, it's just a connection that you guys have now, all right? And that is the key here. When you can get your leads to open up, to be vulnerable, in a sense where they can tell you the deeper intentions, that is how you build a closer relationship. And that is how you can then move forward to seeing them in person or having that appointment. It's very important, guys, to get your leads to open up. Hands down. That I would say that is a skill. Once you can cultivate it and once you learn how to utilize that, there's no deal that is closable that won't be closed unless you actually know what you're doing from there, right? By asking the right questions. I hope this is making sense so far. Then the next thing is step number 4, which I want to essentially address that discomfort. So Rachel, I'm just going to have to mute you there. So cool. Address their discomfort about commitment. This is very important. So if you sense they're worried about being pressured, which most oftentimes that is the case, you want to reassure them that the CMA is just a tool to help them make an informed decision. So for example, hey, John, look, I completely understand why you just want a CMA report. Look, by the way, John, there's no obligation here. My goal is to simply provide you with clarity so you can make the best decision for yourself whenever the time is right. All right. So notice how that is a great way just to get them to, whoo, okay, cool, right? And then once you get them to, whoo, now you can be like, so I'm just really curious. So are you looking for a CMA for market updates, or is there something happening that's causing you to want a CMA right now? So can you see that's sort of like a disarming question to get them to relax, and then that's when they can open up because they can tell that you genuinely want to help them. Or, hey, look, John, I totally understand. Look, man, a lot of people just want to explore their options, right? And that's completely fine. Hey, would it be fine or would it help if I walked you through what the CMA includes and how it might help you down the line? Is that okay with you? Does that sound fair enough? All right. You see, then they'll be like, yeah, sure, fine, because you are genuine. And then in that process, you can ask them the deeper diving questions where they can finally open up to you, right? Can you see how it's a dance? It's a little bit of a game, right? Sort of like dating, right? You just need to know how to build that comfort. And then once you build that comfort, you can attack. Ethically, of course. Then you want to transition then to deeper conversations once you've addressed their discomfort about commitment, if that's their core pain point. So once you've built trust and addressed your initial objection, move the conversation towards their goals, timeline, and potential challenges. So here's an example. So John, I just wanted to say here, hypothetically speaking, so once we complete the CMA, I'm curious to know, John, what's the next step that you'd like to take, if there's any next steps? All right, we're just testing the waters here. Oh yeah, I mean, look, we just want to see what our home value would look like, because we're thinking about upgrading. I just got a really good package from my job, so we just want to explore our options. All right. So now you can actually see how, okay, so there's a way for me to see if there's a way, right? So if someone's like, we just want to explore our options, right? Uh, so that is the core reason. If they want to explore the option, that's a good thing, which means that if there's a good offer, they might take it. Do you get what I'm saying? Someone's not going to say, I'm exploring my options for the sake of saying it. What he's basically saying is that if you can give me a good offer, I will take it. That's what they're saying if they want to explore the options. All right. Or, John, so tell me, how do you feel about where the market is right now? Does it align with what you'd want to achieve if you sold a home and we sent over that CMA report? Again, another different way to tackle the deeper conversations, right? It's just easy ways to just get your leads to open up. Or you could say, hey, John, when you say you're just curious, does that mean you might consider selling if the value is where you'd like it to be? Okay. So notice how I'm saying that, hey, will you consider selling if, we can put the price on where you'd like it to be? Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, hey, if we get a good offer, we're open, right? They're not going to say we're definitely going to sell. No, 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 no. Guys, people are smart. They're not going to tell you directly. They're like, yeah, we'd be open. Or, I'd be keen to explore options. So notice how what they're saying is it's not a definite yes, but it's a maybe. And that's all we need. We just need a maybe. And then we can slowly start to bite on the next. Oh, okay, cool. So I'm just curious to know, what number were you looking at? All right, now we can see what numbers are they looking at. Now, of course, this is obviously going to be a case of education and helping them understand, hey, look, you can't just, let's say, for example, John's like, okay, yeah, if somebody's going to offer to buy a house for 5 million, that time their house isn't even close to $1 million. Now, of course, we need to provide some education here, but I'd like to think a lot of them are not delusional. You guys will let me know. But that's number 5, to transition into deeper conversations. Okay, so here's a framework. Very simple, guys. Acknowledge their request. Of course, happy to help. What made you want to check your home's value now? Explore their motivations. When you say you're curious about your home's values, is something specific? Is this part of a bigger plan, like exploring your options for the future? Gently unpack pain points. Have you been thinking about selling, or is this more about staying informed? Right? You see, now you can get an idea. Or what's been your biggest concern when it comes to selling? If it's ever crossed your mind. You see, notice, you see that? If it's ever crossed your mind. Because what most agents would do is that, what's your biggest concern when it comes to selling? Who said that I'm looking at selling? But when you say, if it's ever crossed your mind, you see, notice how you're like, if. And that is a great way to get them to get your leads to see, oh, okay, they're actually considering me. Reassure and build trust. No commitment here, simply about giving you clarity. Transition to the next step. Okay, so if we do complete the CMA report, what would be most helpful for you to know about the process or the market? Now you're getting into deeper dive, right? Now they can tell you, oh yeah, we just want to know, how soon have homes been selling once it's on the market? Okay, I'm just curious to know, um, why is that the case though? Is it something that you're considering? If that's the case, okay, you see, now they can tell you, yeah, I mean, because of 1, 2, 3, right? So this is how it's just going to help, guys. Always be curious. So many sellers start with curiosity, so don't rush to push them. Guide them to reveal what's behind the curiosity. Okay, address hidden concerns. Often, I just want to CMA. It masks for deeper fears. It could be fear of selling at the wrong time or dealing with a pushy agent. A lot of you guys are pushy. You don't even realize it, or your colleagues are pushy. So, of course, they have this reputation that people are very pushy. That's why they're very closed off, right? Are you just going to openly tell an insurance guy who cold calls you all your problems? No, you're going to be very closed off because of how you know the reputation that they have. The same thing is the same in real estate, guys. Don't think you guys are special, all right? So, asking thoughtful questions shows you're not just after a sale, you care about their needs and timeline. That is all clients. Guys, once your client can tell that you're not just after cash or transaction, you care about helping them, that is how things start to switch. That is when they open up, and then that is when the relationship is built. And I can tell you right now, they will work with you compared to every other agent because What are most agents doing? They're pushy. And that's the key. Hope this makes sense. Let me just see. I love it. Okay. I'm glad you guys are enjoying this, guys. I'm glad you guys are enjoying this, man. I've seen sales is a big thing that a lot of you guys are struggling with. I really wish your principals could really break this down in detail to help you guys understand. But hey, it is what it is, but you guys are here. So I'm gonna do what I can to help and assist you. This is amazing stuff, Juanita. This helps when you think it's yes, 100%, guys. Don't always think that it's you. Always look into the pain points or your clients, especially the needs of the lead. So cool. And then I'll send over the documentation. You guys can go check out the common seller objections. It's the same framework, but then just different stuff. So I'm not planning to sell, I'm not ready to sell right now. I'm really talking to another agent. How do I know if you're the right agent for me? So those are just other common stuff, but it's the same process that you can utilize, which I won't cover because it's quite detailed. But I wanted to cover the buy objections one, which is why they hesitate to submit documentation. And then afterwards, I'll send over the doc and you guys can go and start working on it. So guys, for understanding why buyers hesitate to submit documentation. So there's 5 common reasons, right? Fear of commitment. They're uncertain about moving forward and the fear of being locked into something they're not ready for. Okay. So for example, it's just thinking, it helped me think about something where my parents has been like, when are you getting married? When are you getting married? And my fear is like, I'm so scared of being locked into something I'm not ready for. Because this is like a lifetime commitment. So for a buyer, it could be the same thing as well. Like, damn, like I might just have to commit for 20 years with this. Okay. So that could be the case. Lack of education, this is a big one. They may not fully understand why the documentation is needed or what the process fully entails. I've spoken to so many agents, and the way they just like, yeah, okay, so you need to provide me with the documentation so that we can see what you qualify for, and then let's get started. But they don't really give me the right education or why that's the case. And that's where I see many agents are lacking. It's just that the lack of empathy and helping understand where the hesitation, why the buyer might not want to provide the documentation, or helping them understand why the documentation process is important. And another thing is privacy concerns. They're worried about how the information will be handled or shared, which is a big one, especially for your higher end clients. Financial insecurity. This is also a big one as well. Many people are unsure if they're going to qualify or they're afraid of being judged. I can tell you this right now, guys. This one right here, I would say hands down is the biggest one. Most people, guys, most why is it that people are afraid of putting themselves in front of camera? Why is it that people are afraid of speaking in front of a crowd? Why is it that afraid? Some of you guys are afraid of creating video content. It's because you're afraid of being judged. You're afraid of being judged. You're afraid of being criticized, right? You're afraid of how people are going to perceive you. Okay, that's normal. So this, I would say here, once you guys understand this, many agents don't really get this because I understand you guys deal with so many documentations on a day-to-day basis. You're not even judging, you're not even looking at the numbers because you just want to see, okay, do they qualify? Great. No? Okay, cool. What can we do to help them? So from your perspective, you're immune to it because you're not looking at them like that. It's just a case of, hey, how can I help this person? But they don't see it that way. In their eyes, they're probably thinking, "Ooh, okay, let's see how much this person earns. 20,000. Damn, I didn't know you that broke." That's how people are seeing it. I'm being honest here, guys. That's how people are seeing it. They're afraid of being judged. So you see, now that you understand this discernment, now at least when you're talking to the buyers, you can then now have that level of empathy, right? That level of understanding. And because you have that level of understanding, it's going to come different in your tonality to help them understand that, no, it's totally okay. It's fine. Don't worry. This is the reason why we need the information. And also lack of urgency. They don't feel pressure to act now, and they simply test in the waters. So this framework, guys, is going to help you understand where the buyer is so that you're not wasting your time and you can really get a good idea of where they're at, that you can focus your time on the necessary things. So here's the framework for handling the hesitation. So this is very important. You want to pre-handle the objection early. So let's not assume that they're not serious, because if we assume they're not serious, it could be a case where it was just financial insecurity, right? Or it could have just been a case of privacy concerns. But you're in your head, you're like, this person's not serious. But hey, it could be one of those reasons. So I just want you guys to understand so that once you get a full idea of where they're at, Then you're like, oh, okay, I understand why they didn't want to do this because of X and X. I don't want you guys to make assumptions. That's the reason why I'm doing this. So cool. So best time to address hesitation is before it happens. This is hands down the most important one. So use the initial conversation to uncover potential concerns and address them proactively. So here's questions to build trust and uncover readiness, which is very important. All right. So John, just out of curiosity, what's made you start exploring buying a home right now? Okay. Right now, what made you starting to explore this? Now we can actually uncover the readiness. So instead of saying, okay, cool, awesome, great, you ready? Okay, you want to inquire about this property? Cool, here's the documentation. Oh, well, what? Like, and then you're surprised when they don't provide their documentation because you didn't ask the right questions. So when you start to ask this question here, guys, now you'll know where they're at out of these five. Okay, so have you been looking for a while? Or is this something you're just starting to think about? So can you see, guys, that man, these questions so powerful, right? Because now you can actually see where they're at. Have you been looking at this for a while? Or is it something that you're just starting to think about? Because think about it this way, guys. If someone has been looking to buy a home for a long time, what does that mean? That means that there's a very high chance that they're going to commit to it because they've been thinking about it for a long time. And if someone's like, yeah, you know, I've actually been looking to purchase a house for like a year now. So why a year? So why is it taking you so long to find something? Walk me through that process. And then now they'll tell you why they haven't purchased. Oh, you know what? I got well, you know, I'm actually disabled. I got into an accident 3 years ago, and I'm waiting for my RAF money. It's gonna come in the next couple of weeks. So I've just been looking at my options in terms of purchasing a house. You wouldn't have known that unless you asked, right? You see? And if someone is like, oh yeah, I'm starting to think about buying a house, right? I'm starting to think about buying a house. So someone who says that basically means that they're not going to move forward immediately to act right now. Why? Because, as you said, I'm starting to think about, not I am ready to purchase, I am starting to think about. Okay, so what are you thinking about? Well, so walk me through like what's what's in your mind right now, right? Why now? Why are you thinking about it now? You see, when you say, why are you thinking about it now? I'm just curious to know. Oh, yeah, you know what? So I was just curious to see what my credit score looks like. And that she says that I qualify to purchase a house. Or, hey, actually, we want to buy a house for our parents. So we're just putting some funds up together. So we want to see what are the options that we have. You see, when you ask the right questions, guys, can you see the quality of questions? When you ask the right questions, business just works out a lot better and easier because now you understand them and then they can freely open up and then you can help them with what they need. Okay. Or what's the most exciting part of potentially owning your own home? As an example, if you guys have that conversation, you have an idea like, oh, I want to own my own house. Okay, what's the most exciting part? Oh, yeah, you know, just the part where, you know, I have my own space. Okay, what do you mean by space? Oh, you know what, like I've always lived in like a one bedroom, so you know, having because now I'm looking at a two bedroom or something with bigger space, you know, we have more breathing room. Or oh well, you know what, we actually lived with our parents for 3 years because we both lost our jobs as a couple. So now we're finally back on our feet. We want to get more breathing room, right? What's that keyword where? Breathing room. So when you say breathing room, what exactly do you mean by that? Oh, well, you know, I'd like just to have my own bedroom with my own husband. And we've got 3 kids, and we're just looking for space for the kids as well. And a garden, you know, just for a space where we can have brides and events and stuff like that. So can you see, guys, when you unpack questions and you listen to what they say and you ask them, okay, when you say breathing room, what does that mean? You're uncovering a lot more. You're unpacking a bit more. They're becoming more vulnerable. They're opening up to you, which makes the submission of the documentation process a lot faster and easier because now you really get an idea in terms of where they're at and if whether this person either has fear of commitment, lack of education, privacy concerns, financial insecurity, or lack of urgency. Okay. And another thing could be as well, if you can tell that's a little bit of a hesitation, you could be like, I'm sensing a little bit of hesitation here. John, just so that I'm on the same page, because I really want to help you, right? What's the biggest challenge right now you think you're going to face in this process right now at the moment? Or you can even frame it this way. You'll be like, John, you know what? I'll be 100% honest with you. You know, I've worked with hundreds of different buyers, and I've noticed many buyers don't really understand the process of moving forward, especially when it comes to purchasing property. And you've mentioned to me that this is your first time purchasing a property. So I just want to know, what is the biggest challenge that you think you're going to face in the process? Is it the finance side of things? Is it time-wise? Can you just quickly unpack that for me? 9 times out of 10, like, yeah, it's finance, right? That's always the biggest thing. Okay, so what's your biggest concerns regarding that? I'm afraid I don't know if I'm actually going to qualify. Well, look, you know what, John? Let's actually take a look and see, and I'll be more than happy to guide you in that process. So can you see, guys, when you're asking the right questions, right, and you're coming from a empathetic standpoint, right, you really want to help them, you'll be so surprised, guys, how they open up, and then now will feel more comfortable, all right, to give you the information, right? That's just one of the best ways to go about it. So if you need to educate them, many buyers hesitate because they don't understand why documentation is needed or what the process involves. So you want to be clear and transparent. So look, John, I completely understand that submitting documents can feel like a big step. Notice what I'm saying, can feel like a big step. The reason why we do this is to help you understand exactly what your budget looks like, so you don't waste time on homes outside your range or miss out on homes you qualify for. So if you typically do understand why this could be the case, why you want to then look at the reason why I put this together here is because I want you to help them understand that you understand how they feel. And what is the big word here? A big step. Look, I totally understand. This may feel like a big step, all right? But I can assure you, I'm going to hold your hand throughout the process. And this is exactly why we need this, okay? Notice how I'm saying, I can assure you, I will hold your hand. I will guide you through the process. Okay, so notice how I am coming from a place of I'm actually genuinely here to help you. So be very mindful of how you say certain words. Okay, I know these words because they work very well. Okay, I will hold your hand throughout the process. Trust me, I'll be with you every step of the way. I'll be right next to you, guiding you, right? Can you see when you use certain words like that, how's the buyer feel? Oh, at ease. They feel reassured. They feel comfortable. Okay, look, I totally understand this is a big step, right? I totally understand this may feel like a mountain of a task. I totally understand you might feel anxious, or I know this is an uncomfortable thing, but we need to address this. But don't worry, I rest assured, I'll be with you every step of the process. I will guide you. I will hold your hand. Okay, I will take you with me personally in the process. I will personally take my time to help and assist you and hold your hand, right? So be very cautious of how you say certain words so you can help them feel comfortable. Okay. I know it because I saw you guys. I'm a Mr. I'm a sensei, guys. Mr. Miyagi of sales. Because I understand those are very powerful words, guys. Words are very powerful. Okay. Another thing is you can say, hey, look, think of this step as building the foundation for your journey. Okay. It's not a commitment. It's just giving us the tools to help you find the right home. Guys, some people might feel like if I give you my documentation, that means I'm making the decision to buy a house. You see, we're assuming. We don't want to assume. So, John, look, I totally understand. This might feel like a commitment, but it's not. Rest assured, it's not. We just want to see it's going to give us the tools to help you find the right home. Okay? Does that make sense, John? Or is there anything about the process that feels unclear to you? Can you see? Now we're giving John an opportunity to tell us, oh, yeah, yeah, it makes sense. All right. Or you could be like, no, I'm not 100% sure. How I would also reframe this question is, so John, what about the process right now feels unclear to you? So notice what I'm saying is I'm not giving him a chance to say no, because here's the thing, guys, and this is what's very important, is when you give your prospect a question that gives them an easy way out. So what I mean by that is if you say, does that make sense, John? 9 times out of 10, guys, out of habit, people will be like, yes. It's very rare where someone's like, no, it doesn't make sense, unless it's a very assertive person who doesn't mind conflict. Most people want to avoid conflict, right? Most people just don't want to disagree with you and stuff like that. They want to argue, right? Or have disagreements. So they'll always say yes. So another way to frame it, and guys, this is very powerful, is instead of you saying, does that make sense? I would say, so John, what about the process so far feels unclear to you? Now, what is he doing, guys? He's now going to scan in his mind what feels unclear to him. And he's going to tell you, well, I'm unclear in terms of What exactly should I submit? Because you see, now that he's telling you what he's unclear about, that thing that he could be unclear about is probably going to be the reason why maybe he ghosts you, because you didn't address maybe one or two things that you thought, oh, he understood it already. So can you see why that? Oh man, this question is so powerful. I should actually add that in. Guys, you need to always ask your buyers. So I just want to make sure I'm on the same page. What about the process that I've just explained right now feels unclear to you? And they will find something. There's always, guys, there's always something, especially if they're buying a house for the first time, they will express something. It's very rare where someone understands everything fully clear. If they said, no, 100% you are clear, I totally understand it, great, that's perfect. Then they won't ghost you when it comes to providing documentation. But you always want to ask that question. I would actually say that that is a very, very, very important question. After you explain your process, always ask them, what feels unclear about what I've mentioned? Because now they have to go and find what are those things that they are unclear about. And for those who don't understand why you need to ask that question, is because we are so used to speaking our language, right, in real estate, that we automatically assume everyone knows what we're speaking about. Guys, there are people who don't know what a mandate is. I know it sounds very different. Like, what? How do you not know what a mandate is? But that's just the world that we're living in, guys. People are not in real estate. They're not talking about real estate all day. They're not dealing with buyers and sellers all day. So let's get out of this assumption and this bubble that everyone understands what a mandate is. Let's get out of this assumption everyone knows what the buying process looks like. Let's get out of the assumption that if people submit their banking details, or they need to know that they need to have good credit, they need to have not just good credit, but they also need to have, what is that thing? Timeline wise credit, I even forgot. Because you can have good credit, but if you don't have the timeline, it's left my head. I'm pretty sure you guys know what I'm speaking about, right? Where let's say, for example, yes, I may have an 800 plus credit score, but if there's no credit history, that's the word. Let's not assume that people know that they need to have credit history, right? We just need to assume that this person doesn't know anything, and we just ask the right questions so we can get an idea in terms of where's their level. So, have you purchased a house before? Do you understand the process? Yes, I do. Don't assume, oh, okay, this guy understands that. No. People will just say, yes, I know, and then they actually don't know, right? So be very, very, very cautious of that, okay? And that's why it's here. Have you done this kind of thing before? Or is this your first time working with the pre-qualification process? If someone has done this before, then yes, they understood the documentation process. But I still don't want to assume that they know everything, because there could be one or two things that they didn't understand. All right. And because they still don't understand it now, those one or two things could be the reason why they're going to hesitate giving that documentation. So don't always assume that, oh, no, I've done this 10 times. I know what the process looks like. Just send me the documentation or tell me what I need to send. And then you tell them and then they don't send it to you. Yeah, because you assumed, you took their word for it. Never take your lead's word for it, guys. Never, ever, 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 ever. Don't. Always assume they don't know anything so that we can unpack it. Okay. And if it's a first time person, then you know, okay, cool. I need to really guide this person. I need to be patient with this person. Okay. So I would say that these people require more time because they're unsure. The same way in my business, I understand when it comes to speaking about AI, this is a completely foreign thing for a real estate agent, especially if someone is over 50. I need to now break things down to the finest of the finest of the finest details. I'll even have agents tell me, yeah, I know this stuff, I know this stuff. And I assume, oh, okay, cool, great. And then later on, I realize this guy doesn't know anything. I assumed he knew, but he didn't know anything. So I just always tell myself, don't assume, just always think that this person doesn't know anything and guide them throughout every process. Then there's number 3, which is uncovering hidden concerns. So if they still seem hesitant, you want to utilize neutral questions to uncover the real issue. The objection may not be what it seems on the surface. So, for example, when you say you're not ready to submit documents, I'm just curious to know, like, what's holding you back, or what might hold you back? Or is there something specific about this step that feels uncomfortable? Okay. Or, hey, look, John, I noticed that with most of the buyers that I work with, or most of the buyers that become my clients, they worry a lot about privacy or the time that it takes. Do either of those concern you? You see, I would actually use this here because now you can actually get them to open up. You could be like, hey, look, a lot of the buyers that I work with, They either worry about the privacy when it comes to pre-qualification process, or the time it takes, or the uncomfortability behind them providing the documentation. Do any of those concern you right now? And then they'll tell you, yeah, I'm just unsure about why do I need to submit this information, all right? Or why do I need to provide this and this and this, okay? Or if we say, okay, look, I totally understand. So if we take the step off the table for a moment, what's your biggest priority in the home buying process? Okay, so we can actually see, okay, this is your priority. So if we can find a way to make this work, what would be the best process for us together to make this process work for both of us, as an example, right? Where we can still meet each other halfway and make sure a deal is going to happen, right? So it's just always important, guys. Let's explore, see what questions you guys can utilize out of these here to get that, get the sense out of the hesitation. And then for common concerns, look, John, I just want to assure you that your information is being handled securely and only used to determine your eligibility. Nothing is shared without your consent. Again, just to assure. All right. Or, John, you'd be so surprised how many people qualify for more than they expect. And even if it's not the perfect number now, we can work together to build a plan for the future. Can you see how that you just make them feel comfortable, right? It just that already in and of its own. If you say that to me, I'll be like, okay, cool, awesome. I'm give you my information. Or look, I just want to reassure you that this step is not a commitment, right? Just because you're going to provide your documentation to me doesn't mean that you're committing. Okay. We just want to see where you stand. You're still in complete control of the process. That is a big one as well. I'm pretty sure many of you guys probably have some aha moments right now. Some of your buyers could feel like this. I also felt like this a couple of times, right? Where it's like, okay, if I'm going to give you my information, I feel that now you thinking that, okay, perfect. Like I'm committing. And I think that's a big issue that most agents are portraying in terms of the energy. Like, provide me with your documentation, then I'll take you seriously. All right. Or provide me with your documentation, and then there's no way you can back out of this. Because remember, in the buyer's head, let's say he's applying for a loan for 20 years, right? If he's still unsure, when you're asking for the documentation, he might view it as, damn, if I give my documentation, that means that I'm now committing to this for 20 years. So that's where the hesitation comes into play. So when you say this, you're just reassuring them to be like, oh, okay, all right, awesome, great. Okay. And then the urgency, which is very important. So if lack of urgency is the issue, focus on helping them see the benefits of acting now while reassuring them that they're not being pressured. So for the reason why most buyers are not going to move forward immediately is because some of them might feel like they'll be pressured. So how do you create the urgency? So John, have you thought about what waiting could mean for the market or your options? All right. Here's another one. John, what would happen if the perfect home came in the market next week, but you weren't ready? Woo! 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 You see how hot these questions are, guys? All right. John, is there something specific you're waiting for before taking the next step? Okay. This is a great way, guys, for you to actually see how serious is this buyer. I love this question, man. I love this. What would happen if the perfect home came in the market next week, but you weren't ready because you're taking your time? Send those docs. All right. So, look, John, there's no pressure to move forward faster than you're ready, but getting pre-qualified now helps you take advantage of opportunities when you're ready to act. Can you see, guys, when you ask these type of questions and when you say things in a way that helps them understand, like, damn, you're actually right? How we get closer to the cash moolah, guys. That's how we get closer to the cash moolah. Yeah, but guys, I don't know if it's just me, but this is really powerful, man. Like if somebody had to say this to me, oh my goodness, like it would hit home. Like, damn, you're right. So this is how I'd frame it, guys, especially for those who are gonna probably utilize this question. Um, if they're like, damn, yeah, like I'd feel really bad if I wasn't if I'm not ready. Then I'll be like, so what do you suppose we should do now? Okay, sure. I'm happy to send over the documentation process. So this is an easy, guys, this is an easy way to put your buyer in a corner, in an ethical way, right? Because who wants to miss out on an amazing home, right? The home of their dreams. You want to paint a picture, like John, imagine, right? What would happen, John, if your home, like the home of your dreams, came on the market in the following week, but you were not ready? because we didn't have any documentation. What's going to happen? Of course, he's going to be like, I'm going to feel terrible. I'm going to feel bad. So, John, what do you suppose we should do now? Done. You're not saying, John, let's submit. Okay, so John, give me a no. So what do you suggest we should do about it now? And John will be like, okay, I'll send over documentation. Boom, done. That's how you. So can you see? You're putting them in that corner. You're putting them in that corner. So when you say, okay, so what do you suppose we should do about this now? He's gonna say, oh, well, I have to provide the documentation. And you didn't even say anything. He said it. And that's one of the easiest ways to get them in. Okay. And then, yeah, after that, you can transition to the next step. So now that we've talked through some of your concerns, what's the best way to move forward from here? You see, same process. So now that we've talked through some of your concerns, what's the best way to move forward from here? Notice how you're not saying what the process is. You are asking them, what's the best way? You're giving them that control. And 9 times out of 10, they'll be like, well, okay, sure, let's sort out the documentation process. Okay. Because you're now putting that control on them. Trust me, guys, when you give them that control, because now they have that power or that responsibility, they now have to proceed with the process. It's a very sneaky psychological strategy, guys. A lot of the stuff, guys, sales is all psychology. Once you guys understand this, it's powerful. And then you can also say this as well. John, would it make sense to take the first step together and gather what we need for pre-qualification? That way you'll be prepared when the right home comes along. Is that okay? Okay. So can you see, we're adding everything in together. And when I say first step together, I'm helping them understand that we are in this together. You're not alone. All right. I'm actually here, genuinely here to help you. And that's how we can get them in. So guys, I will upload this doc right now on, I think, under resources for you guys. Go ahead, use this guideline, guys. I really wanted to make it as detailed as possible, just so that you guys can really understand it and use this, guys. Practice. Maybe use 1 or 2 lines, make them into your own words. So when you're talking to your leads, start utilizing it. That's the only way you're going to learn, guys. It's the only way you're going to learn. So please apply it. And trust me when I say that this is going to help you in anything, guys, whether it's this business or another business that you have or something else in future, the same framework applies with any person. All right. Awesome. I'm glad that you guys enjoyed it, man. I'm glad that you guys enjoyed it. I'll put all the information on Discord, and then, yeah, check you guys tomorrow night. Have yourselves a lovely evening, and I'll see you guys then. Take care, guys, and good night. Cheers, guys.